In Brussels, the EU countries are discussing the 11th package of sanctions against Russia. It provides for restrictions on those who help Moscow circumvent punitive measures. The adoption of the new package is delayed due to the protest of Hungary. Greece was recently added to it, as Politico found out. Athens is unhappy that there are 2 Greek companies on the sanctions list. They are associated with maritime transportation, including the lease of tankers for oil transportation.
Greece reiterated that, should there be concrete evidence of violation of sanctions, these should be brought to the attention of the member states concerned at the technical level, so that this be adequately investigated and then due action will be taken. Unnamed EU diplomat in a comment to Politico. There is such an interesting nuance why, in my opinion, Greece is reacting so violently to this whole story. They say, well, it cannot simply come to terms with the fact that several of its companies will be recognized as sponsors of the war, international sponsors of the war. The appearance of such information that its companies are providing military assistance to the Russian Federation, which is actually fighting against Ukraine, will undermine its economy from the inside. That's why they are reacting like that. They want these companies not to fall into the sanctions list.
In Budapest, they said that they would block any initiative on Ukraine as long as the Hungarian OTP bank was in the National Register of Sponsors of the War. Ukraine put it on this list in May for reportedly soft loans to the Russian military and the actual recognition of the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics. The bank denies the allegations. However, EU diplomats see Athens and Budapest differently. The level of dissatisfaction with the latter is much higher politically, rights, especially considering that its pro-Russian and pro-Chinese line has often prevented the EU from reaching unanimity in statements on Moscow and Beijing.
Hungary has been speculating for a long time, but along with this, tools are being found to put pressure on it and force it to vote for such sanctions. I think that with Greece it will be approximately the same story. Why don't I see a big problem? On the contrary, it is even very good that these problems become public. We discuss them and emphasize that it is impossible to help Ukraine with one hand because Greece really helps Ukraine a lot militarily, and with the other help the Russians kill us.
The head of European diplomacy, Josep Borrell, promised to overcome internal disagreements over the content of the 11th package of sanctions against Russia. The office of the President of Ukraine is also cautiously optimistic about this.
Greece traditionally has a large merchant marine fleet, and it obviously carries out a large number of transactions with the Russian Federation. But no, they won't. Neither those who are lobbying for this in Russia, nor the countries that share this position. I am sure that the 11th package of sanctions will be adopted. It is important for us to make sure that the sanctions package is really filled. Ihor Zhovkva, deputy head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, on the air of the national telephone, United News.
It remains unclear when European diplomats will finally approve a new package of anti-Russian sanctions. For example, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna announced that the final decision would be made at the next Foreign Affairs Council, that is not earlier than June 26. However, according to Politico, some diplomats opposed the proposal, saying that a decision should be made sooner. Reported by Serhiy Kulas, Vasyl Panasiuk, UATV News.